Insecurity. Today we're gonna talk about insecurity and how you can get from being insecure to being confident. I will tell you a story how I got confident, and maybe it helps you too. But bear with me because I'm not so good in telling stories. When I was 24, yes, because then my mother died, which crushed me completely. And after my mom died, I went working in a company, and the CEO and the owner of the company, they had about 50 people. Yumi, that's my dog. We had about 50 people, employees, and the CEO was a womanizer. He was crazy for women, and he had 7 or 9 affairs that I knew about already. And one time I was very insecure in my life at that point. And what happened? This is so fucking weird, what happened. Let's call him Mr. X, because I can't call him with name, Let's call him Mr. X. I was 24, he was 52 or 54 or something like that. Always dressed in a nice suit, driving a Porsche. And one day I was alone in the office, and that day, on Friday, every Friday, I was alone in the office from 12 to 12:30 p.m. at noon. And one time I was, not one time, a couple of times, a couple of weeks in a row, I was working behind my desk, and then Mr. X comes behind me, and he lays 6,000 Belgian francs, which is now 150 euros. But that is what I talk about is 30 years ago, so that was a shitload of money, That was the equivalent of like 6,000 euros, I think. Anyway, he puts that on my desk, and he says, go and, Yumi, gedaan. And he goes and says, buy yourself some nice lingerie for that. And I thought, this cannot be true, It can't be that this is what he said to me. So I ask him, what? And he goes again, buy yourself some nice lingerie for that. And I know I'm stupid sometimes. Again, I thought, this can't be true what he's saying, this can't be happening. So again, I ask him, what? And he goes very confident, so you can buy yourself some nice lingerie for that. And I was just baffled, But I have to be honest, I took the money and I shut up, So a week goes by where the next Friday that I'm alone, and he does the same thing again. He puts 150 euros on my desk, and again he says, buy some nice lingerie for that. Again, I didn't ask what anymore, because by then I figured it out already. It's about time. But I took the money, shut up, went home, and that was it, But in that weekend, I was living with my boyfriend at the time. And in that weekend, I said to my boyfriend, like, who the fuck does he think he is, giving me money because of lingerie, buying lingerie, Who the fuck does he think he is? And I got really upset, but I shut up because I was insecure. The week after, on Friday, the exact same shit happens again. Again, he gives me 150 euros and says that I have to buy lingerie for that. Again, I take the money, go home, but the weekend after, everything changed. Because the weekend after, I was again every day saying to my boyfriend, who the fuck does he think he is, giving me money to buy lingerie for that? And I was so upset with that. So on Monday, it was Sunday evening, and on Monday, I was still really upset that he gave me that money for lingerie, And I thought, I'm gonna tell him now, I am not gonna shut up anymore. I'm gonna say something to him. So I went to the office on Monday morning and I asked Mika, who was the direction secretary, where Mr. X was. And she said he was in a meeting and then straight after the meeting he would leave. And I thought to myself, I am so strong now that I won't accept it anymore. I have to talk to him now. Because otherwise I will be too scared again to say it, So what did I do? I got him out of the meeting. I opened the meeting door, and there were 12 business people in suits with a tie. All of them, and I opened the door and I said, Mr. X, I would like to speak to you. And he was annoyed and he said, after the meeting. And I said, no, now, Mr. X. And then I closed the door. And then to my surprise, he indeed cut the meeting and he went to his office where I was going as well. And we closed the door, so we were just the two of us. And I said to him, Mr. X, it's now already a couple of weeks that you give me money to buy lingerie for that money. And I want to tell you, if I had ambition in that regard, I would have chosen myself another profession. And then he goes, but Billy Jo, you can't deny that you are a pretty woman, and please note, well, he didn't say please, he says, well, I won't take no for an answer. I'm not used to getting a no, And then I said, well, there's a first time for everything, eh? Anyway, when we talked about Anana as well in that meeting, he proposed that he would give me every week money I would get, because he had a lot of real estate, and he would give me an apartment to live in free of rent, He would give me a free apartment to live in. He would buy me a new motorcycle because I'm into motorcycles, cafe racers specifically. Yummy! He would buy me a new motorcycle, and the only thing that he asked of me in return was that I would sleep with him once a month. What the fuck? So I declined, and again I said, well, Mr. Hins, you know how much money I make in this job, and you know how much money I would make in another job if I would have that ambition. So no, thank you, And I really thought that he would fire me on the spot, because I rejected him. And so I left the office, his office. My heart was bouncing like 1,000 minutes per hour, But I was so proud because I did it, And the reason why I went from being so insecure to being really self-confident was because I used my common sense. I thought, but hold on, Mr. X doesn't feel embarrassed to give me that money and say that it's for lingerie. So why the hell should I be embarrassed to give him a reply? Do you know what I mean? And from then on, I got basically for 99% secure, confident in my life. I still have moments that I don't have a lot of self-confidence, but that I think goes for everyone in life at certain points in their life, Anyway, that was my story, how I went from being extremely insecure. I had huge but extreme minor complexes compared to other people, When I compared myself to other people, I had extreme minor complexes when I was young. Now, not anymore, I mean, if you don't grow in life, well, then what the fuck are you doing? But anyway, that was my story. How did you beat your insecurity? Or what prevents you from being confident? And write it in the comments because I'm really curious to hear about that, Okay, that was it for this video. Subscribe if it hit you, but only if you are a good-hearted person and you love 100% ethics and you want to become 100% ethics in your life. And so only then subscribe, otherwise unsubscribe if you subscribe, because I want purification in my channel. I don't just want anyone to subscribe to my channel. I want the real deal, Anyway, that was it for this video. I'll see you on the next one, Bye.